Hi everyone, I'm Philippa East and I'm really excited to join you tonight on Meet the Author. I'm a writer of psychological suspense books. I have my debut here, which is Little White Lies. And this one is a story about a family whose missing child is found alive and returns home 7 years after her abduction. And then my second book, which was out in February, is called Safe and Sound. And I'll just read you a little bit of the blurb from the back of this one. In a small London bedsit, a radio is playing. A small dining table is set for three, and curled up on the sofa is a body. Jen is the one who discovers the woman along with the bailiffs. All indications suggest that the tenant, Sarah Jones, was pretty, charismatic and full of life. So how is it possible that her death has gone unnoticed for 10 whole months? I've been writing probably for about 10 or 12 years now, and obviously I've not been published for that long. I have 2 books out. Both of them are published with a lovely imprint called HQ, which is part of HarperCollins. But it was quite a journey to get there. I liked reading all the time as a child, and when I was young, like a lot of children do, I used to write stories and that kind of thing, but I never really considered being a writer or writing seriously until I was in my 30s, really. And I took up creative writing really just for fun. I thought that I would just have a go at writing a novel, and I had absolutely no expectations of going anywhere with it or getting it published or making a career as an author. It was honestly just a fun project for me to keep myself amused in the evenings. And I had so much fun writing that book, and it lives in a drawer now. I don't think it will ever see the light of day, but it really made me fall in love with writing. And I started joining a few writers' communities and writers' groups, and actually then moved into writing short stories, which for me was a really fun way to learn about writing and sort of start to get to know the landscape of writing and books and publishing. So probably over the next 7 or 8 years, I had a number of my short stories published, which was incredibly encouraging for me, and made me think that maybe I was okay at this whole writing thing. Maybe I could actually take it, a little more seriously. So in 2015, I left my full-time job in the NHS, which I'll come and talk a little bit more about later, and went part-time, and that freed up a lot of space for me to write more, which was absolutely lovely for me. And I decided that I would embark on another novel. I'd had an idea for a novel for a little while, and it felt like this was the time to really sit down and give it a go. So I began writing what ultimately became Little White Lies, which, as I said, was my debut. And it was a pretty torturous journey, to be honest. I think that writing a book is always hard, and I always try to remind myself that just because it's difficult doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. So I kind of started off writing the book with really no plan, no outline, just quite a strong sense of the characters and this premise, which was about the idea of writing a different kind of missing persons book. I was so intrigued to think about what might happen at the typical end of a missing person story. A lot of stories about people going missing end when the person is found. And I really wanted to write a book that explored what might happen within a family once a missing person had been found, and what if, in a way, the most difficult part of their journey at that point was trying to reunite as a family. So I probably spent about 2 years working on drafts of the novel, and I wrote and rewrote it so many times. It was probably on about draft 8 when I finally started to send it out to agents. And I actually went to a writing festival, which is run by an organisation called Jericho Writers, and had a one-to-one session with one of the agents there who wanted to see the full manuscript. And it wasn't ready, that was the problem. So it took me about another year to keep working on that manuscript. And eventually I sent this agent the full book, at which point she suggested that I do a huge rewrite of it. But her ideas really chimed with me, and I really felt that her vision was in keeping with the kind of book that I wanted to write. So fast forward about another year, and my agent Sarah Hornsley and I went out on submission to publishers, and very excitingly we had an auction, and I ended up signing with HQ HarperCollins, who are now also publishing my second book, which is Safe and Sound. And so Safe and Sound was inspired by a true story about a woman called Joyce Vincent, who really tragically died in her bedsit in London when she was in her 30s, and her body wasn't found for over 2 years. And there was a beautiful docudrama made about this case called Dreams of a Life by the filmmaker Carol Morley. And I remembered watching this film back in probably around 2013. And I was just absolutely haunted by the story, and couldn't get it out of my head, to the point where I felt I just had to write my own fictionalized account. And that's the book that you see now, Safe and Sound. So a little bit about me. Obviously I'm Philippa East. I live in Lincolnshire in England, which is a lovely rural county, and I live here with my husband, and also I have a cat called Mimi, who is just out of frame, but she's just sitting here with me, being very well behaved. She knocked over my iPad about 5 times before I started recording this. In my day job, I actually work as a clinical psychologist and therapist, and I've been pursuing that career ever since I left school, really. And I think that a lot of people who read my books talk about the psychological elements of them in terms of things like the characterization and the themes that I'm exploring. And I do draw a lot on my psychology work in my writing. And I still do that. That's my day job. I continue to do that part-time and alongside the writing. So this is my writing room. You can see a little bit of what's going on. I use this blank back wall here to do a little bit of post-it planning, as you can see. This was some stuff that I put up for my third book, which is in progress at the moment, and I'm still grappling with it, but I'm finding my way with it, I think, and really excited about where it's going. So that book has also been bought by HQ HarperCollins and is due to come out next year. I've been so thrilled with how things have gone so far with writing. Little White Lies, wrong way around. Little White Lies was shortlisted for the CWA New Blood award, which was a massive surprise to me, but I was absolutely thrilled. And both books have been picked up by a Polish publisher as well, which is really exciting for me. I really look forward to answering lots of your questions in the comments in just a moment. And if you want to connect with me, a great place to find me is on Twitter, where I'm Philippa_East. So great to meet you all, and I look forward to having a chat with you now.